And if you're bearish China, can I assume you're bearish the U.S., U.S. equities, U.S. dollar?
Oh, no. The life gets complicated. There is, of course, much talk these days about gold, and there are many incredible forecasts for the gold price, 3,000, 5,000, depending on who you speak to. Gold today is about $1,400. And that interest in gold is representing a fear about fiat money, and it's representing a fear that central bankers, again, are more politically motivated and will do filthy things like printing money, so we know about the debasement of currencies. It's hard to debase gold. The genius of God, I remember saying, God is a genius because he's a sloth. It takes 1 billion years to make an ounce of gold. The problem is we have these godlike deities at central bankers. What they're undoing is it takes them a nanosecond to create $1 billion. And that's the dynamic which is pushing gold up. But if you believe in this notion of the future being one of hyperinflation, it's a bit like the wise man getting into heaven and the need to pass through the eye of a needle. I think it's very like that in the sense that if we're going to have hyperinflation where the dollar loses all of its value, which is an extraordinary thing to say, and yet it's almost become common currency in some financial media. For that to be a reality, you need like a meteor to hit the earth. You need something profoundly negative to shake the course of economic growth globally. Because only if that happens, will the central bankers be called forth into this dramatic policy response, which would create this hyperinflation. So that's why I come back to notions such as China and indeed sovereign Europe having some restructuring event. These are the economic equivalent of a meteor hitting the earth. And if that happens, you will see central bankers go to extraordinary measures. So just now I'm pursuing what would be called a bearish macro view of the world. I'm looking for a kind of tail event such as China having a reversal. I think I can capture great profits through my credit portfolio in Japan. One of the functions or the catalyst for that coming through is I think the yen could appreciate greatly. I also think the dollar could appreciate greatly because they have so much debt denominated in those currencies. And if asset values take a hit, there's a relationship between collateral values. You actually create a shortage of yen and dollars in an environment where asset prices fall. And that's all a precursor to then wanting to buy one-touch Nikkei calls at 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, because if we get an inflationary response then I want to be very long equities.
Any countries you're positive on? Good. I want to move on and get into inside the head of Hugh Hendry. I've asked the conference organizers to arrange a couch. If you'd like to, it's your choice. If you want to lay down, we can get in, or we can stay here.
I'll stay here.
We want to get deeper into your psyche. You said you make investment decisions based off the voices inside your head. What do they tell you?
What? I went one step further. Again, this all goes back to this blasted article I did with the Times. So not only was I the man that wanted to short Iceland to zero, I proclaimed that I was a paranoid schizophrenic. So I had voices in my head which led me to take actions. And as I took the actions, I became very fearful of the consequences of my actions. That sounds like paranoid schizophrenia to me. And that was based on my earliest report cards hit upon this. There was this line that said, lovely child, whatever, but my goodness, for a 7-year-old, he worries. He's such a worrier. And if you think I've gone on and I've made a career out of worrying, I take actions and then I'm profoundly fearful of the consequences. This is this is my first speaking engagement of the year, and I'm a bit rusty. But I'm not making money just now. I mean, I fear waking up and turning my BlackBerry on just now. I'm not losing a lot of money, I'm just not making money. And I hate that. And there's a whole debate going on with British inflation just now, which I think is flawed, but it's a reality that's going on. So, I mean, I now wake up early just so I can anticipate feeling miserable about actually waking up at the right time. So to be on this stage is interesting. So, but it's the key. That's what a hedge fund manager does. You're very fearful of the consequences of your decisions, and therefore you give great weight to them. And if you're skillful, you're not a hostage to your errors. If you're not a hostage to your errors, the future is rather promising.